are ya? Welcome to the stream. I am deliriously tired, so that should be a good time, right? I know you all come here to hear me sound as elegant and refined as possible, communicating only my most sophisticated and well thought out notions. Hi, Alex. How you doing? Yeah, I just turned in a huge project for one of the two, like, actual classes I was taking this semester, and I just, yeah, felt like unwinding somehow. That seemed like a good idea. And I just wanted to play game. I wanted to play Zelda, specifically, and I was like, well, I should stream again, I guess. I'm talking real good tonight. This is gonna be awesome. Oh yeah, I'm sure it's gonna be a shit show. Zelda dungeoning, puzzling, while delirious from sleep deprivation. Yeah, it's gonna be good. Ooh. The thing I turned in turned out good. It was a kind of a weird semester for me, in terms of, like, the academic stuff I was doing, like the coursework stuff. I was taking 3 classes technically, but only 2 of them were, like, classroomy kind of assignments, professor. There were other people in the classes. The other one was, excuse me, I was doing a bunch of reading for my advisor, basically. He was, like, loosely guiding it, but it's essentially just, like, a graded course that, like, what they called it, like, advanced directed readings or something like that? I don't know. Ours has me read a lot anyway, so this was just kind of a way to fill out my course schedule and boost my GPA a bit. So there are benefits. There are benefits to being advised by Tyrion. Okay. Why don't we start this? I can ramble more. Yeah. Meow. Man, Arcade Fire's first album is still so fucking good. Jesus Christ, it's still so good. And I've still never really quite heard anything like it. Like, they don't even sound like that on other albums, like, from that band. Like, they seldom totally capture that sound anymore. Which is, like, understandable, but unfortunate. Let me start this before I keep rambling about that. What do I need to do? Hold on. Wait, if I go here... No. Wait, that's not what I was trying to do. Hold on. I'm trying to do this... How did I do it last time? I'm too fucking out of it to try and be fancy. I need to stop. Okay. I am too clever for my own good. Alright, hold on. We're gonna do this shit. What the hell? Alright, fine, whatever. Why didn't the hotkey work? Fuck you, OBS. Fuck you. Yeah, bitch. Alright. Get out of that. Get out of this. Let me know how that volume is. I don't recall in the slightest where I had it last time, so. I done read that the first time I played this. Yo! It just occurred to me that I haven't uploaded any streams in like at least a month. Sorry. It's to the none of you that rely on me to do this, I'm so sorry. It's not something I want to get behind with, though. I actually did edit the fucking first KOTOR stream that was such a shit show. I actually had to, like, go in there and fucking, like, edit huge chunks of time out because it was just me fucking troubleshooting and fucksing with the game, so... I would encourage you to take Miss Fiona out if she's asking. Does she sometimes just drag you outside to drag you outside? I imagine if I were a dog, I would do that. See, I never really had a dog while I was in an apartment for any meaningful amount of time, so when I had a dog, Calvin, when he wanted out, we always had a yard to just let him out in, so if he wanted out, it was like no big deal. It's like, okay, whatever, go out there, sniff around, chase squirrels, do whatever, you know, it's no skin off my ass, but if you gotta, like, you know, suit up, leash up, put your shoes on and actually go out there with your dog, it's a little bit of a different story. She did that earlier today. She's a very energetic and curious dog friend. She's still very puppy. she puppy pretty hard. Your dog is so awesome, Alex. Oh my god. I'm just like thinking about her and smiling because I love your dog. Like, she's so fucking cool. I'm gonna show people a picture of your dog. Because I really like this music, and I don't want it to stop yet. I'm gonna find it. Hold on. Also, I feel like this would be, like, good music for displaying Fiona. Where's that cute-ass picture where she's in, like, pretzel mode? This one. Oh, it's so big. Hold up. Here. This is Fiona, Alex's dog. She's seriously the coolest, and I can't believe you just walked into a shelter and got this dog. She's so fucking dope. Like, seriously. Apparently she was chilling at that shelter, I think he said for months. Like, I used to work in pet care, like, adjacent shit. I was a dog food brand rep. I would, like, go around to different PetSmarts and talk to people about my fancy dog food and try to get them to buy it. It was mostly just, like, chatting people up about their animals. I wasn't really, like... I have a particular sales strategy that's kind of, low pressure but effective. I have my ways. Anyway, point being, I've talked to a lot of fucking people about, well, there would be, like, adoption events at these PetSmarts every weekend, and I would talk to a lot of people that, like, worked in foster care and shit like that. The point I'm trying to make is dogs this awesome usually do not stay around shelters for that long. It is extraordinarily rare that a dog this fucking dope sticks around a shelter for months. Yeah, her ears are adorable. This isn't a good face like, when she looks at you, like, when she does puppy dog eyes, it's like, it's the most pitiful shit. Like, it's dangerous. Like, she looks at you like, why did you kill my whole family? Like, just like, oh god, please, don't. I didn't mean to hurt you, what did I do? And you just, like, immediately feel so horrible. And she's just looking at you. I think Alex is growing immune to it, but I only see her, you know, once every week, once every couple weeks, so I am not immune. I want to do anything to make the world better for her when she looks at me like that. It's terrible. Anyway. She's cute! And she's super personable and really pretty well-mannered. I mean, she's a puppy, but like, it's just crazy. And yeah, like I was saying, they fucking, like, dogs like that do not stick around shelters for that long, generally speaking. What is, oh, okay. Because people snatch them up, like, they know that's a good dog. they get them. Also, hi, Urchak. I didn't actually say hi. I started responding to your messages, but I didn't actually say hi. Wait a minute, I was in the dungeon! Y'all ain't gonna put me back at the start of the dungeon? Did that start in later Zeldas, I'm guessing? I think my house is closer to where the dungeon is. Your sister sent you a series of messages making sure that I knew a shelter nearby had a litter of Lycoi? I don't know what a Lycoi cat is. Is she trying to get you to get a pet? Do you have a pet? Do you need a pet? I kind of want a dog. I've been wanting a dog for a little while there. But, I don't know how much I would be able to give, especially a younger dog, as much time and attention as they would need at this particular point in my life. I'm pretty fucking busy, and so is Nick, so I'm gonna put it off for the time being, especially since I get to see Fiona all the time, so that's pretty cool. It's pretty cool having a dog to hang out with. The brand rep job was kind of cool for that. Wasn't it like, yeah, up there. But that's like strangers' dogs. And you can't really, like, you can pet a stranger's dog, but you can't like love up on a stranger's dog. Like, you can't like cuddle with them and get all up in their faces and fucking, like, you know, pet names and the whole bullshit. You can't do that with, like, somebody's dog in the middle of a pet store. You can't do that. But I can do that with Fiona, and it's great. It was very sad just having, like, only being able to, like, kind of half-love dogs. Not nearly as fulfilling. Still cool, but regardless. Werewolf cats? What makes them werewolf cats? Lycoi cats. The fuck was I talking about? Felt like something I wanted to continue talking about. Oh, the Arcade Fire. They're still a good band. Last album was not so great, but I still believe in them. Might come roaring back, you never know. I certainly don't think one bad album is like the signal of the end of an otherwise good career for a band. Oh, I was saying how they haven't made anything since that first album that really sounds like that album. nor have I really heard anything else that anyone else has made that sounds like that album. And they're probably not going to make that music again, because, like, that album, it captures, like, a particular sort of youthful melodrama that they just don't have anymore, basically. Like, the Suburbs, which is their third album? Yeah, third album. A lot of that album is basically about, like, losing that feeling. Like, and once it's gone, it's really difficult to, like, you know, fully get it back to the point where you'd want to, like, write music about it. You know, it's kind of like stuff that I guess they consider said, which, you know, I can understand that, certainly. It's just, man, Funeral. It's still amazing. And Win Butler is the dude vocalist. There's also a lady. It's either his wife or ex-wife. Name's it's like French. Regine Chassang. I'm gonna say that. I don't know if that's quite right, but it's close, I think. And she's actually from Haiti, I believe. And she speaks French. Well, the band's from Canada. I don't know if Win Butler speaks French. Sometimes Canadian people speak French. Wait, no, is he... Shit. No, because he's from Texas, originally. Are they even from Canada at all? Am I making shit up? I'm sorry, I have to look this up. This is gonna drive me batshit. This was, like, one of my favorite bands, like, 10 years ago. But I've not kept up. Let's see. Okay, they're described as a Canadian indie rock band from Montreal. Well, there's a lot of other people in the band, too. Like, I think it's just Win Butler's from Texas. Yeah, he was born in Texas. And then Regine Chassang, I got it. Okay, no, she's described as Canadian. Okay, she was born in Canada. Her parents are Haitian. Okay. Word. I got it. Anyway, that band is remarkable. I would love to see them live. Nick has before. They're just incredible. Because first of all, there's like fucking 10 of them. they like all play all the instruments. So they, like, he said, Nick, when he saw them, they would, in between songs, switch instruments. Like, they would, like, fucking, like, musical chairs. It's kind of literally musical chairs. You can boo me, that's fine, that was terrible. I'm getting nowhere fast here, Jesus. Is this the werewolf cat? Oh, that's cute! I'm gonna put this thing on the screen since we're, you know, tits deep into doing absolutely nothing this stream. Why not? Werecat. That's a Lycoi cat. That does look pretty werecat-ish. It's got a vibe to it. Yeah, 1930s Wolfman, there you go. Yeah. The pose helps too, it's working. Alright. Let's do Zelda things. This is we're doing a whole lot of getting nowhere. Let's do this. You You ready to suffer? I am. Oh. I'm forgetting what all the fucking buttons do. There. That was a switch. I don't know if I have any more to say at the moment about the Arcade Fire. I guess I was just talking about why that album, that first one, is still so good and kind of unique. I like how Win Butler sings on that album, I think, better than any other. Because he kind of toned it down a little bit after that. It's less like, I liked him sounding like more sort of desperate and like unhinged. Like I sort of enjoyed that. He's very like he's very, very, very clearly heavily influenced by David Byrne, which I think is fine. Like if you happen to like sound like or are inclined to sound like a particular like one singer, I don't think that's necessarily a problem. Especially if you're like putting that voice in the context of like a completely different musical situation, you know, different lyrical themes, different everything. Like there's not a lot of similarities between the music that David Byrne generally made and the stuff the Arcade Fire makes. So it's like I don't consider it like a problematic ripoff, I guess you could say. Like I'm thinking about fucking Greta Van Zeppelin and how they're like doing everything they can to like totally mimic that band's sound, and it's like that's not what this is. Like, I think that's a different story. Like one vocalist mimicking a particular other vocalist is one thing. Hijacking a whole, like the whole swag of another band down to how they like dress and perform is like parasitic and gross in a way that I don't even know how to describe. It's like it gives me like existential anxiety thinking about that band, Greta Van Fleet, because it's like, is that just gonna be okay? Like, have we just come up with everything as far as music goes, and now we're just gonna be like wholly recycling, you know, shit that other people have already done, and no one's even gonna bat an eye at it? I mean, not that people don't bat an eye at it, there's a lot of people saying what I do about this band. And like pretty much anyone who's fucking heard Led Zeppelin before recognizes that they are trying to sound exactly like that band. It's striking to me that like they could become famous doing that. Like y'all are like the, oh my god. Oh, Steven Wilson. What did he fucking called them, like the boy band version of Led Zeppelin? He's such a cunt. That's so perfect. Yeah, so like you get a bunch of like Twinkie looking fucking 20-somethings looking and sounding exactly like Led Zeppelin, and they get to go on SNL? What? Like they get to have a career in music? I don't get how you could fucking have any integrity as an artist and do that. It's just crazy to me. It's like, you know what you're doing. Like, you can't, like, it's like they're gaslighting us. That's kind of, that's maybe a way to put it. That might be a bit dramatic, but honestly though, like the notion that they don't, oh no, we don't sound like Led Zeppelin, we're just, like, motherfucker, are you kidding? Are you kidding with that? like my husband had not heard of Greta Van Fleet, and I wanted to know his thoughts on it, so like I asked him about it, and he hadn't heard them before. So like he played a song of theirs like while I was standing there in front of him. And damn it. Shit. And he asked me like straight up, it's like, you're fucking with me, this is Led Zeppelin, right? Like he didn't believe me that it wasn't Led Zeppelin. And yeah, pretty much everyone thinks that. If you've heard Led Zeppelin before, see what I get the idea here is that there's a lot of people that like them that are like too young to know what Led Zeppelin sounds like, which is like, I thought they were ingrained enough in pop culture that you couldn't really escape knowing, at least on some level, what Led Zeppelin sounded like, but apparently they're not that deeply ingrained in cultural consciousness, because someone just like, yeah, they're, how did I put it a particular way one time that I really liked. I'm trying to remember. I said that they were inhabiting another band's whole swag like a parasite. It's, yeah. The fuck are you talking about? Bowie symphonic metal and Johnny Cash screamo? What are you talking about? I'm going to get tea. No, okay, I'll ask you when you get back. Oh my god. I'm so fucking beat. Yeah, these classes I was taking, I didn't finish explaining why I'm like especially tired. So I didn't have tests in these classes all semester. They were like discussion classes, there was some writing, there was some like discussion questions and, you know, talk leading and things like that. But there were not any exams. So the final projects that I had due for these two classes were pretty substantial and took a lot out of me. So yeah, I did well, though, on that thing I just turned in, so I'm hoping to do well in the class. It ended up being a good paper. Well, I guess it was an annotated bibliography, technically. That's like you know, when you got sources, but you like comment on them, like summarize what they say. It was like that, plus a few pages of, like, synthesis sort of commentary. The fuck? The map? Okay. The map. So yeah, I was working on that pretty much all night. And I turned it in. Let's do it, like 5 today. And I had to go in and help lead the final class discussion. I kind of drew the short straw on scheduling there, so I had like 2 discussions to help lead within like a couple of weeks. It was like, last week or the week before that I was dragging the class through some free will readings and chit-chat about agency. That was fun. Yeah. My brain is full of fog and fuzz. Oh, fuck you. I have a feeling I'm going to hate this dungeon. Just getting that vibe already. I've still got one more thing to turn in here in about a week. The paper I have due for my philosophy class. That might prove to be a little more difficult to finish than the thing I just turned in for the other class. Just because I'm not a philosopher, and I'm still kind of play acting my way through philosophy to an extent. The paper's cool, though. It's about this phenomenon called moral injury, which I've talked about a little bit on the stream before. I'll probably do a whole stream about that soon, because I just finished this class. It was about moral repair, which is how you fix moral injury. So yeah, I'd like to talk about that a little bit. Go over what I learned. But yeah, the paper I'm writing is about moral injury and, what the fuck? The music kind of slowed down. And how it occurs. This is a phenomenon that was originally, like, characterized and studied in combat veterans and other people who had experienced war, but in particular soldiers. But folks are finding that these symptoms are also manifesting in other jobs and other situations outside of combat. So where the research is right now is kind of in this place of like, okay, you know, we were sure we found this in soldiers, but it would seem like there's also these journalists and these doctors and, you know, other people experiencing these symptoms, so, you know, we might need a more, like a broader, more inclusive definition of what moral injury is so that we can also capture these other cases that are occurring in, like, non-combat jobs. So, the paper is largely aimed at doing that, namely by proposing a mechanism by which moral injury actually occurs. Like, I remember our professor asking us at some point during the semester, what gets injured when you get a moral injury? Like, what's actually getting hurt? Is it your fucking morality? Like, what the fuck does that mean, you know? And I think based on some other research, both in neuroscience and psychology, that it's probably a, like, ego-driven self-concept damage kind of thing. Like, your idea of you as a moral agent is what is being harmed when you, like, incur moral injury. That is my thinking. So that's kind of the crux of the papers. I'm arguing that. Which I think is pretty well supported by the stories across jobs with this. Like, if you listen to people talk about this, they talk about how, you know, like, it's not always this direct, but, like, you know, I couldn't recognize myself in the mirror, you know, I didn't know who I was after this, you know, just the notion that, like, who you thought you were is not who you are now because of the thing that you did or the thing that happened to you. I guess I should explain what moral injury is insofar as I can, since I'm talking about it. It describes a, damn it. I'm trying to kill you, and you won't die, and I hate you for that. God damn it. I definitely cannot define this with the beeping. I don't remember how I got here. Welcome back, Alex. I talked about your dog. I showed the stream a picture of her in pretzel mode. She's mad cute, dude. I did find the map. I think I was, like, up a couple, right? We'll figure it out. At least the music isn't stressing me out. That's good. It might get irritating eventually, but at the moment, no. Was Fiona just, yanking your chain, so to speak, or did she actually have to, use the doggy potty? Not sure what to call that. It's not a bathroom, it's outside. They're just relieving themselves in nature. Kind of both. She did eventually go, okay. Was dog sincere or was dog salacious? I am fond of the way you put that. She had to walk a whole lot and sniff the whole complex before going. Yeah, that sounds about right. Hold on, I can define moral injury here, because I have my paper open. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna find it. I'll go with the new definition I'm proposing, since I think it's more accurate than other ones from, like, older pieces of work that were only looking at combat veterans, for example. So, moral injury occurs when you bear witness to, are subjected to, or personally perform actions that do not align with who you perceive yourself to be as a moral agent, and that discrepancy causes a sort of ego damage that manifests in particular symptoms that have been documented. So, that's kind of the gatekeeping on it, is like, well, you know, a lot of people experience stuff that, you know, doesn't quite line up with who they are, and that, you know, doesn't quite, you know, feel right in a moral sense. But not everybody undergoes that to the point of essentially trauma, where you've got this damage that then manifests in these particular symptoms. So that's the injury part. It's like, you might be morally perturbed by a number of things, but in order to be morally injured, you have to fucking incur that damage that causes those symptoms. So yeah, that's what moral injury is. So that's a pretty, you know, that could mean a lot of things. And like I said, they first got at this in combat veterans, particularly, you know, combat veterans who had to make a difficult call. You know, maybe they had to, like, hurt or even kill people in order to, you know, do what they needed to do for a particular mission, or in order to, you know, save some other folks, or, you know, there's a number of reasons you might have to do awful shit in a combat situation, and, you know, you can tell yourself all you want that it's, you know, for the good of the group, for the good of the country, you're being a good soldier, but at the end of the day, that shit's gonna eat at you, depending on, you know, who you are and how much you beat yourself up over things. But yeah, that can happen. And with soldiers especially, I mean, just speaking from experience, they're not terribly inclined toward anything resembling therapy. So, you know, there's a lot of, like, stoicism and, you know, bottling up of emotions, and not a lot of open expression, which is something that is culturally reinforced within the military, to an extent for good reason, and I understand why they do it. You know, it's obviously important to keep your head cool during a combat situation. However, once you're out of that situation, if you're not able to turn that off and, like, be vulnerable and communicate about things that, you know, may have traumatized you, it's only going to fuck you up worse. And, yeah, we have a pretty big problem in combat veterans with the PTSD and, suicide, so I'm streaming. Okay. Wait. Hold up, everybody, hold up. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Sorry. I had to have a conversation about the leftover sushi in the fridge. Excuse me. Yeah, my appetite has been fucking shot. I'm blaming that mostly on the fucking Adderall. But I've felt it start to return today since turning in that paper. I'd like to take a couple of days off of stimulants, that would be good. At least the fucking Adderall, I'm too skinny for this, man. Like, seriously. Too fucking skinny for this. Sahasrara, that's the elder. I can talk to you telepathically when you touch these tiles. Here is a hint. You can use the treasure within this palace to defeat armored foes. Is that a... I guess that's a hint for people who haven't played Zelda before, and I guess this was like the first real Zelda, according to a lot of people, so. Okay, this is where he died last time, I think, right? I'm just gonna focus. Can you fucking... Thank you. The fuck was I was talking about moral injury, yeah. So yeah, I was saying, it occurs, maybe most commonly in combat veterans, but, they're finding it's happening in a number of other fields, pretty commonly, to the point where, you can kind of regard it as an occupational hazard for some jobs. Which I think is an appropriate thing to inform people of, too, because, having had a moral injury myself, I can tell you they can be pretty debilitating, and, it's worth knowing about. Like, there just generally needs to be more awareness raised about this phenomenon, because, like, therapists don't know about it. I did not know about this until on, like, the tail end of my fucking recovery process for that, you know, shit show of a time I had in my first graduate program. None of my therapists knew about this. If I had spoken to even one person who knew what this was, it would have been enormously helpful for me. But because I didn't, you know, the resources weren't there, the knowledge was not there, the research wasn't there, I didn't learn about it until later. but it's still been enormously helpful for me, and just to know, because it's really weird to like hurt in that way and not be able to explain it. Especially if you're like already depressed and you're just prone to thinking like, oh, well, this is just the depression, you know, and there's certainly some overlap there in symptoms, but that's not all it is. It fucks with who you think you are, and it's really difficult to overstate how uncomfortable and disruptive that is. Maybe that's a way of putting it. Is this... Oh, okay. It's locked. Damn it. Can I shoot this... Wait, do I have a bow? I don't have a bow. Do I? When did I get a bow? No, I have a boomerang. I don't have a bow. I have arrows, but I don't have a bow. I was not using my boomerang, though, so I'll start doing that. That does stun. Yeah. I've played Zelda before. I decided my birthday present to myself is going to be a Switch and Breath of the Wild. That's what I'm doing. I'm finally not totally dirt broke, and I will have a little bit of time over the summer, and I want to do that. I'm so excited. I just want like a good 100 hours of just me hanging out with this game. Like, that's all I want. That sounds wonderful. Vape. Vape, please. God damn it. I'll be right back. Jesus. Supposedly there's going to be a new, cheaper Switch model coming out in about June. I see. Is it gonna be, like, smaller and shittier, though? The OG looks fine to me. I might just get the original one. I'm not trying to get some, like, diet version of the Switch. Like, I want it to work as good as it oughta. I'm more concerned about it working well and to, you know, full art generating capacity rather than like the ability to carry it around, for example. I very seldom play games out in the world. Like, the only time I ever play... Like, well, I guess I play Pokemon. But even then, I'm doing that on, like an airplane or something like that. It's, you know, pretty rare that I'm, like, out and about and sitting somewhere for, like, such a period of time that I would need to be playing a game like that. Like, if I'm on campus, for example, I probably have shit to read, so, like, I can't, really. Anyway. You don't know how or why they would do that? Yeah, I don't, like, I want to know why it's cheaper, basically. And yeah, I don't think 300's that bad for current day consoles. I mean, shoot, that's only fucking $50 more than the Wii premiered at, if I remember correctly. Like, that's bonkers to me. Oh Oh yeah, no, Nintendo is generally pretty good about making like cheaper hardware. If I remember correctly, they were like either barely profiting or just breaking even on the actual console sales for the Wii. And they were trying to make money on like accessories and games. I might be bullshitting. Don't quote me on that. Oh, they might omit the Don't you need the Joy-Cons? I thought you needed the Joy-Cons. I like the Joy-Cons. I don't want to get rid of the Joy-Cons. I'm just gonna get the OG Switch. I'm not trying to fuck. I'm not trying to fuck with this diet Switch. I'm good. I need to change this coil. That's my problem. I'm not gonna do that right now, but that's what I determined the issue is. I also need to stop vaping. That's the other thing. I've been tapering down the amount of nicotine I'm taking in, at least. I actually have a mix of a 3 milligram and 0 milligram liquid in there right now, so I guess it's like a 1.5 milligram situation. Which is very low relative to like the fucking Juul, which, as I've mentioned recently, I don't think should be sold at gas stations. I think that's a prescription product that should only be available with a doctor's note to people who need to quit smoking. It is remarkable to me that you can just walk into a gas station and buy that. Like, I'm literally a brain scientist who has studied drugs, and they got me. Like, all it takes is just a fucking lapse of judgment. You're puffing on that thing for a few days, and you're fucking hooked. Nicotine is so addictive. In terms of addictiveness, I think it's actually worse than cocaine, which is saying something. Obviously, the effects are not quite the same, and the addiction is arguably not as harmful. Certainly not as expensive, but... yeah, anyway, I need to quit vaping. Or at least quit vaping nicotine. I think I would be fine with just, like, fun flavors in a zero nicotine situation. I think that would be cool. I've got a friend that does that. He just likes the clouds and the flavors and the breathing, and I like all that too. Like, that's actually, like, a really enjoyable part of it for me. I do not need the nicotine for it to be fun, and there's a number of reasons I shouldn't be maintaining a nicotine habit. I mentioned my appetite already suffers from the fucking drugs that I have to take for my attention deficit. I'm a skinny cunt, so I really need to not be taking in excess stimulants that are just gonna suppress my appetite more. Also, nicotine, in a very roundabout, mechanistic way, can actually fuck with your stomach, and my stomach need not be fucked with. So, there's a reason I quit vaping before. I picked it back up again because I was waiting to get back on health insurance so that I could actually be medicated for the attention deficit. The point is, the Band-Aid turned into a renewal of a habit that I had kicked, and I need to re-kick it. That's maybe the short story. Where the fuck is the switch here? I'm sorry, like, it might look like I'm, like, not doing anything, but actually, I'm looking for what the fuck the purpose of this room is. Do I need to, like, light it up? I don't know what's going on in here. Let me try to light it up. They have proprietary USB cables? Excuse me? That's lame. I need 2 items, maybe? Where's... I don't know how to items. Okay, that's the map. Hey, okay. Oh, that doesn't actually do anything. Okay, well, fuck this room. Definitely. Yeah, I'm of the current opinion. Fuck this room. Gonna get on out of here.
Bye!
Yeah, no. I don't know if I've been up here yet. No, this is how I got here. Oh. When did I get a key? I don't remember getting a key. Whatever, it's fine. Fuck was I talking about? Oh, the moral injury shit. Okay, so this paper, that I'm writing, it originally started out as like a, you know, I would like to thoroughly demonstrate that this is happening in, you know, many jobs other than, you know, combat soldier. Like, it's definitely happening in other places consistently to the point where we need to think about not looking at this as a phenomenon that's only occurring in soldiers. Which I don't think is anything that most anyone studying this particular thing would argue with. Man, fuck you. There seems to be some agreement that it exists like on a spectrum of severity, and that the circumstances in which people incur moral injury are not, like, it was originally thought that it was like the particular circumstance I first described, where you have to do some, like, really difficult, morally questionable thing for the greater good, and it weighs on your conscience, and it fucks with you. But, as it turns out, you can also incur moral injury from... Okay, I stunned you. Okay, no, that actually hurts them. Okay, cool. Sorry, as I mentioned, you can get moral injury from shitty things happening to you, or just bearing witness to shitty things. So, like, I mentioned that journalists are susceptible to moral injury. In particular, they're finding it in people who are reporting on like the refugee crisis and the situation at the border and shit like that, which is currently pretty dark and fucked up, and probably difficult to you know, diligently report on and not see fixed. You know, see fucking politicians openly lying about stuff that you can see happening with your own 2 eyes. That's gotta be enormously frustrating and sort of helplessness-inducing. And the idea there is basically, like, you're having to reconcile your inability to help with witnessing it. So, like, it's, you know, when you see something shitty happening, you have a compulsion to stop it. And when you're bearing witness to shitty things and you're helpless to stop it for whatever reason, like you're, you know, a journalist just reporting on a shitty situation and it's not actually in the purview of your job to immediately help with it, that can fuck you up. No, please. I really hate these things, and there would not appear to be any way to, just kill me. Fucking... The beeping is awful. I just need the beeping to stop. Ah! God damn it. Sorry, I hadn't looked at chat in a little while. Yeah, repo men, foreclosure specialists, insurance call centers, yeah. They've documented moral injury occurring a good bit in people who do social work. What other, doctors. And the example that I'm focusing on in the paper, for the most part, is, sex work. Because I hadn't seen anybody talking about that, and it is very obviously happening in sex work, like perhaps more obviously than any of these other non-combat occupations. So, yeah, I wanted to focus on that. If only in part because it's like a massive, like, aesthetic and operational contrast with, you know, like a combat veteran. Those are two, I suppose, diametrically opposed jobs. So for anybody who was, you know, questioning whether or not this occurs outside of combat veterans at all, I felt like it would be a good sort of salient example to harp on. Because it's like, if it's happening in sex work as well as in combat veterans, there's a whole lot of jobs in between those two things that are probably being captured in this as well, to some extent. Yeah, 911 operators, yeah, slow grinding moral injury, yeah, exactly. It's not always just like, you know, I was making it sound like it was, you know, has to be like one traumatic event, but that's really not what it is. And like, you know, sex work especially, although it is pretty commonplace for sex workers to be abused or like assaulted or raped, it's not like an isolated incident like that would necessarily cause moral injury in somebody who is engaging in sex work. It's kind of it's a nickel and dime thing, you know. It's just people are constantly violating your boundaries, they're constantly insulting you, they're constantly degrading you, you're constantly doing things that, you know, are kind of potentially compromising what you consider to be, you know, your core and your integrity in order to get money from people who are not very savory. So, you know, that's kind of what it is. Like, I'm pretty sex positive, as I've mentioned before, but that doesn't mean that I don't, like, I try to respect sex for the power that it has, and for the power that it can, you know, for its power to both, you know, generate pleasure and pain for people. I think is maybe a way to think about that. It can be very good, it can be very bad. And for women especially, it can be very bad. Especially women in sex work. So, yeah. That's predominantly what I'm looking at. I say the photojournalist that took the photo of that young Vietnamese girl running away from the napalm explosion that burned her. Oh god, that picture. Taking that photo broke him and led to his suicide. No shit. It's a hell of a picture, and I can hardly imagine being the person that took it. Like I said, it's the thought that, like, you could have done more. That's the thought that'll fucking eat your soul away. That one right there. What more could I have done? That fucking thought. And yeah, when you've got, like, photographic evidence that you documented this instead of doing anything to help, yeah, I imagine that would eat at you. School shooting survivors, yup. Survivors Guild's a huge thing. Huge thing. It really, yeah. It can fuck with you. Even if you couldn't have done anything more. That's the thing, is like, for years, I beat myself up over shit that I really, thinking back, could not have done any more in the situation that I was in to fix it. I did everything I could, and I still fucking beat myself damn near to death over it. Like, it's not rational, you know? Like, that's why I kind of like thinking about it as an injury. It's like, I'm bleeding. I can't think my way out of this. You know what I mean? Like, if this does end up being like I hypothesize it is, where you've got this, like, 'cause we can measure to some extent self-concept and ego in the brain. Like, if you have, you know, if we put people in a neuroimaging machine and have them think about themselves, like, as a concept, or ask them, you know, questions related to themselves as a person, like who they consider themselves to be. That's something that we have some excuse me, some research on in neuroscience. So what I'm saying is, when you get morally injured, this wub is bothering me. When you get morally injured, what happens in terms of the actual injury part is, like, those are the brain parts that are getting fucked with. That's my hypothesis, is when you, Jesus fucking Christ. Excuse me. When you get morally injured, that's the thing that gets injured, is your self-concept and the neural correlates of that. The extent to which I would ever be able to demonstrate this is pretty limited, but I think I can argue for it pretty well, which is, you know, good enough for a philosophy paper. I don't know. If it ends up as good as I think it might, it'll be alright, but there's a chance that philosophy dude is just either not gonna buy it or is not going to understand what I'm saying, because it is kind of a, like, biological and psychological mechanism, I guess. And, like, I don't know. I'm gonna try. That's what I'm gonna do. I like it so far, and it's certainly an original thought, which is kind of nice. I tend to not play it too safe with my fucking school assignments, because I'm dumb like that. I don't like to half-ass anything. Especially not related to my education. Like, if you half-ass that, what are you doing, you know? I'm here to get learned up, you know? Contrasting sex work as an empowering choice compared to sex work forced by poverty or sexual oppression. Yeah. That's the thing about sex work, is that, like, in theory, it's fine. Good even. But in practice, it ends up being just awful. I guess just a combination of stigma and misogyny. It makes it awful for the people who engage in it. Even if they are, you know, just doing it of their own free will and aren't under any economic or otherwise pressure to do it. Am I stuck in here? Okay, cool. Even under those, like, ideal circumstances, it's still potentially hazardous because of the way people tend to treat sex workers. Not every customer is an asshole, but, you know, talk to a stripper about their job. It's like, they will tell you that most of them are, at least in one way or another. Not all of them are gonna, like, openly insult you or, you know, fucking physically harm you in some way. It's just, you know, it's little shit. It's just people kind of doing little things to undermine your agency or ignore your comfort, you know, cross your boundaries. Just little shit that indicates to you that they don't think you matter and that they don't respect you. And that's really hard to get, like, drilled into your head, like, day after day after day after day, to be in that fucking position, all dressed up like a, what, Lindsay Byron, whose work I'm mostly quoting when I'm talking about, sex work in this, this paper, she calls it, being dressed up like a sex clown. what strippers do. And you feel in some ways like a joke when you're dressed like that. And to have people treat you with that level of respect, or I should say disrespect, and, you know, a lack of dignity, a lack of regard for you, it's just, it'll make you feel like shit. It's just, she describes sex work as back-breaking, soul-fucking work. That's how she describes it, so it'll fuck you up. It'll fuck you up. And I think this is just maybe one of the ways it fucks people up that do it. It fucked me up, for sure. I know in advance it would do that. That's why it's like, I don't want to. I probably wouldn't be any good at it either. I'd be good at it if I could, like, put myself in that position and, like, be submissive towards assholes. Like, I'm physically capable, and I'm a decent actress, it's just, I can't do it from, like, a moral standpoint. Like, I can't bring myself to do that. Like, I would rather do pretty much any other job than that. And that's just, you know, I get to say that. There are a lot of women in the world who maybe don't have any other viable economic options. And this is what they're stuck with. So, you know, I don't judge people for doing it, certainly. I'm just saying I would not. There's a lot of jobs you probably wouldn't do either. So, I reckon most dudes fucking would not do that job. Men generally would lose their fucking minds if they got treated like women get treated on a daily basis, just, like, sometimes. Like, if people just had this, like, blatant disregard for your comfort and space and feelings and agency and everything, if people just did that to you all the time, y'all motherfuckers would lose your shit. You really would. I've already lost my shit. My shit's gone. My shit has been gone. But... oh my god. So, do I need to light this up? I'm reading this. The only sustainable moral/ethical framework for humans is the ability to look in the mirror in the morning and say truths about who you are. Yeah? Yeah. I can't open the chest because I don't have a key. Did I get a key? It looks like I might have a key. But that might be bullshit. I actually don't know. Maybe I got a key and didn't realize it. I have no idea. When did I get this key? When did I get this key? I do not remember getting this key, y'all. Not a damn bit. I really don't. I don't remember getting this key at all. I really don't. 10 minutes ago? Fuck me. Alright. Cool, so I got a bow. Oh, great. Great, cool. Do I have to shoot them? I'm guessing I have to shoot them because I just got the bow. Oh, that worked. Cool. Great. I'm gonna try lighting these, even though I don't think... He really did just put, like, he just got stuck in his head and he fucking flew off. Fuck you. Apparently, no. No on that. Alright. Cool. It does look like I need to light these things up, maybe. It's hard to tell when the boomerang is stunning or harming. Wake up, asshole. You are really obnoxious. Please die. Like, how many times? Fuck off. Zelda rules? You talking about like 3 or 5? Some shit about eyes and arrows? Oh, okay. I hate the beeping. God damn it, I hate it so much. I really do. Like, I can't think about anything when that's happening. It's some aspy shit, man. I seriously can't even fucking form sentences. It's so distracting. If I had the ability to turn that off in Zelda games, I would. I would turn off the beeping. God damn it, I'm trying to pick this up. Just let me do that. It, like, raises my heart rate. It's so lame. God damn it. Oh, here's some funny shit happened on Twitter the other day. I seen some lady, I don't even follow her, I don't even know how I ended up seeing this tweet. The tweet was about like, hey guys, you know, just letting you know that the word lame is actually kind of ableist and you just shouldn't say it because it's offensive to someone somewhere. And yeah, I quote tweeted this, like, this is not activism, fucking find a real problem to worry about. I'm sorry. This is getting ridiculous. Like, how, like, it offended me from, like, how dare you give a fuck about that when other shit is happening? That was, like, the fucking indignant response I had. It's like, there are people actually being, like, meaningfully harmed, but you're concerned about, like, no one says lame with the intent of making fun of physically disabled people. No, like, it has been completely fucking removed from that meaning. Like, it is not, like, I get what you're saying with that, but, like, no one gives a shit. I have spoken to fucking dozens of people who've been disabled in my life. I don't know one of them that did not use the word lame to describe lame shit. like, no one fucking cares. And the notion that, like, someone would perceive someone else as ableist because they were using the word lame, that's the thing that pisses me off. I straight up called it fucking classist when this cunt confronted me about it. She had, like, fucking, like, 50,000 followers or something like that, and, like, just had to fucking respond to me. I should have fucking just screen capped her dumbass. And so, yeah, her fucking rabid SJW followers are in my mentions calling me fucking, like, somebody called me racist over this. You guys, somebody called me racist. Somebody called me fucking racist because of this. I asked them if they were having a stroke. Like, are you for real with that? Okay. Right, Urchak, no, that was exactly my thinking, is like, I so rarely dunk on the social justice crowd for anything, seriously, but it caught something in me, man. But like, I mean, Urchak, you're usually more sensitive than me when it comes to things like this. Am I wrong for thinking that policing the word lame is kind of like classist and ridiculous? I'm saying it's classist because, like, a lot of these social justice folks seem to have a problem with a lot of the language that, like, working class people in particular tend to use. Like, they just want us to all sound very, like, buttoned up and toned down and whatever, and it's like, I was raised, like, in a, like, blue-collar kind of fucking environment, you know, by, like, people in the military, and, like, I curse a lot. I say cunt, I say bitch, I say lame, which feels so stupid to lump in with those as though they're, like, equally offensive. Dude. And here's the thing about some of these words that I use. They have the potential of being a problem. Like, you can use the word bitch and the word cunt, that you can use those words in ways that are misogynistic, but it's definitely context driven. Like, even if you're just calling a woman a bitch or a cunt, it's still context driven. Like, I saw a video from, I'm really getting irritated with the fact that I keep pressing that button. Drew Gooden, who is just a great YouTuber and a generally nice and funny dude. And he was doing a video, he was commenting on this lady who, like, originally tweeted out the video of that guy, like, losing his shit over the Star Wars trailer. To, like, encourage people to, like, fucking pile on him, basically just, like, emasculating him, saying, like, this is why, you know, modern men can't get dates or something like that. It's like, cause they get worked up with joy over something that they truly love, you soulless fucking cunt. Like, so anyway, yeah, he's ripping on her, and he was like, what's her name? Ashley Saint Bitch? I think that's pronounced bitch. Like, he was just like, and he never fucking, like, insults people like that, really. It's like, he's not like that. But, like, yeah, if you're doing that, you're being a bitch. Like, there's not really a better way. There's not really a better way to say that. That's bitchy as hell. That's fucked up. Is it misogynistic? I guess, maybe, but it's also fucking, like, misandrous and shitty for you to do that to that dude. That was extraordinarily ugly of you, lady. So yeah, I'm not saying, like, you should definitely openly go around calling women bitches if they're being bitches, but when it's that fucking obvious, Jesus Christ, I'm okay with Drew Gooden doing it. So yeah, it's context. Everything's context. And yeah, I do think you generally have to be careful with using, like, words like cunt and bitch and, you know, other words that could be interpreted as misogynistic if they're used incorrectly, but, like, you can abstract these terms and use them in ways that don't sound misogynistic. Like, for example, I actually rarely call women bitches. I'm more inclined to call inanimate objects bitches or men bitches. Which, like, I I think is funnier, really. Because, like, calling women bitches is just tired at this point, but calling dudes bitches is still funny, and calling inanimate objects bitches is also very funny. So, I hate this dungeon, you guys. I really fucking hate this dungeon. Ann Coulter's definitely a cunt. Yeah, it's just, you know, circumstances. Like, calling like a woman a cunt or a bitch if she's being shitty is not the same thing as calling, like, a black person the N-word or something like that. It's not a slur. Like, it's not something that you can just, like, never say no matter what. At least I don't think that. Yeah, it's, like I said, context. There's a lot of words you can get away with in certain circumstances. I was just talking about sex work, words like hoe, thought, all that. Those can be funny if they're used correctly, but if you're just calling random female characters or women hoes, then that's not okay. And it's just, I mean, it's fucking, it's corny. I mean, that's most of what it is. It's like, I think misogyny is boring and corny for the most part. It doesn't really, like, offend is a pretty strong word for me at this point. I'm so, like, I just roll my eyes at it. Like, I don't want to hear it. It's not funny. It's not clever. Just don't. Yeah, unimaginative. Yeah, it's fucking trite. It's the main reason I don't like sex jokes in my chat. I do, like, casually refer to that rule as a sex joke ban, but if you read it carefully, it's not a ban. It is intended to discourage. Because I don't want people making sex jokes unless they're, like, exceptional. Like, I don't want people making, like, cheap dick jokes and, like, lame, boring sex jokes. I don't want that. Because, like, that'll become the whole stream. I don't want it. I mean, if it's good, then do it. You know, I'll just say that. But you know what? If it's not, I will drag you all over this fucking chat. I will drag you all over this chat. I will make sure everybody laughs at you. Like, it better be good. That's I guess the that's the real rule. Like, if you're gonna do it, it better be good. Otherwise, I'm gonna laugh at you, and so is everybody else. I don't know what to do with this fucking bow. I guess I gotta find something to shoot. How did I end up getting out of here again? God damn it. I hate this dungeon, you guys. I gotta go through the big... Oh yeah, that's right. Okay. Where the fuck was that? Damn it! Fucking die, you fucking cunt! Fuck! See, I think calling a skeleton a cunt is funny. I'm sure there are people in the world that would disagree with that, but I think it's funny. I don't think there's any harm to it. I think cunt's just kind of a funny word. Same with pretty much like a lot of these words. I think bitch is just kind of a funny word. Yeah. It's yeah, context. I would argue that men in particular need to be careful about using those words. I certainly notice when men use those words, and I definitely notice that they use them liberally. It's kind of a, you know, it's kind of not your word. Like, I can get away with saying cunt as much as I do, and probably bitch as much as I do, but because I'm a woman, like, that gives me a certain amount of license, because, you know, like, assholes call me these names in real life. That gives me, like, a certain amount of license to use these words, whereas if you're just, like, some, you know, rando, like, straight white dude, you should probably be careful about that shit, just because people are gonna make assumptions. There are assumptions that I make, and I don't blame other people for making them. I just, you know, I am obviously not in favor of people, like, policing their language in any meaningful way. It's just, I don't know. Like, to me, like, I've never met a disabled person in my entire life who brought up to me that they don't like the word lame. Like, if that had ever happened to me, like, even once, I would seriously reconsider my use of it, but it just hasn't. So, it's not something I think about. Whereas, like, yeah, I would prefer for people to not call me bitch, not call me cunt. That would be ideal. But that doesn't mean that I don't want to hear the words at all. It just means that I don't want to hear them misogynistically applied to people. So, like, if you're using it as, like, a basis for, like, degrading a woman on the basis of her gender, then it's shitty and you shouldn't do it. Or if you're just, like, you know, like, senselessly perpetuating bullshit, or just using the words because it's, like, shock value and you're just kind of lazy, then, you know, that's, you know, another kind of lame iteration of it. I don't know. It's just, it's salient. That's maybe how to think about it. People are gonna notice when you do that, especially if you don't have a license to say those words, like, so to speak. And people will make assumptions. And like I said, it's, you know, there are assumptions that I make too, so I can't really blame people for making them. It just, it's kind of, it's the sort of thing that makes me think, like basically, it's sort of like an extreme example would be like a white kid who thinks he's at liberty to say the N-word. I don't care who you are, white kid. I don't care anything. You don't get to say that. And the notion that you think you have the right to is a huge kind of indicator of how entitled you think you are to things. Because white people do not have the right to say that word, period. They just don't. And if you disagree with that, I would encourage you to reevaluate that position, because you're seriously fucking wrong. Like, it's just all there is to it. And yeah, any attempt to argue that you're right about that is really just you trying to justify a privilege that you don't actually have. So yeah, it's something like that. It's like, you know, I noticed, like, it's a less extreme example when I notice just like some like rando dude using the words cunt and bitch. You know, it's context driven. It's like how you're using it, when you're using it. Are you just, you know, are you just trying to be funny, or are you actually, like, consistently applying it to, like, women, or using a tone that suggests you're, like, degrading them when you're saying it? It's all, like I said, it's not just the word itself. It's, like, it's how you're using it. You know, obviously with the fucking N-word, that's, like, it's a racial slur. You just don't say it. It's just not a thing you say, whereas, like, I would not argue that bitch and cunt are necessarily, like, I mean, are they, that's not a slur, is it? I guess? I don't know. It's not nearly as offensive. So, yeah. And there are no circumstances in which a white person saying the N-word would be funny to me. Black folks can say it all they like. I don't tell people what to do in that regard. It's I remember I saw some shit on Twitter like a few months ago. It was like Unpopular Opinions Black People Edition, and somebody retweeted that with the caption, "We probably shouldn't be saying the N-word either, but we're in too deep. It's like, oh man. Oh shit. You know, that's, yeah. Maybe you're right about that. I don't know. It's not something I'm concerning myself with outside of, you know, policing the shit out of entitled white dudes who think they can say that word. And that's what I consider to be my job in this conversation. Getting fucking entitled white dudes to stay in their goddamn lane. My mission in life. Hello, Goose. Uptime? I don't know. Maybe an hour and a half or so? I'm struggling, tell you what. Not doing well. Fuck you. It took me like fucking 10 minutes to get back here. I swear to God. Sorry, I was ignoring chat here. Right, exactly. Sorry, I wasn't looking here. There should be a teleport unlock to the last room before the boss. Okay. Yeah, no one uses the word lame to talk about, like, someone who's, like, physically injured or disabled. Like, no one says that. It's totally fucking detached from that at this point. Now, if people were, like, using the word lame against disabled people to, like, malign them and make them feel shitty about being disabled, then I would feel differently about it, obviously, but that's just not true. Lame is, like, fucking 90s culture, fucking bro-y surfer bullshit. It's not, that's just not what it means anymore. It has been removed from its original intended definition and has become something different. You know? Yeah, I've heard, farmers, for example, describe, like, a particular animal as lame if they can't walk, for example. That's the only time I've ever heard it used like that. And even then, it's used as a descriptor. It's not used as, like, you know, as a slur, if you want to call it that. I don't know. I need to, like, figure out what exactly... I guess cunt and bitch would technically be misogynistic slurs. It's just, I think context renders them slurry. Like, they're not just slurry by default, they have to be driven into slur territory by context, whereas, like, the N-word, for example, is just like a do not pass go, do not collect $200 situation for white people, or really anybody that's not black, or, I don't really know the rules on that, I just know white people should be saying it. Under any circumstances, like, there's no context in which that's okay. Whereas, like, I don't regard words like bitch and cunt to be in that same category. Yeah, it sounds like manufactured concern. One of the reasons you like to avoid Twitter. Yeah, I should be avoiding Twitter more, honestly. I should take a good long break from that fucking shit show. I don't want to be told what to worry about from people who aren't directly harmed by what I'm saying. Yes! Thank you! That was kind of my point to this lady who decided she had to pick a fight with me. Whatever. Like, just had to make a goddamn show of it, I guess. It wouldn't be virtue signaling if you weren't holding sparklers. Yeah, and that was kind of my argument, is like, I'm not going to fucking stop saying something that you can't objectively demonstrate to me is harmful if it offends a few people somewhere. You know, I'm not gonna cater my behavior to the absolute, you know, tippy top end of the sensitivity bell curve. Like, I'm not gonna do that. You know, if the top 5% of sensitive people in the population are not okay with my behavior, I am okay with that. We just won't hang out. That's cool. You get to pick your friends, man. Like, that's really a huge problem I have with a lot of this fucking language policing is like, if y'all just don't like somebody who talks a certain way, then just don't hang out with them. That's a preference thing. That's not a, oh, this is ableist, so you shouldn't say it. Like, I'm moralizing it. Like, don't fucking moralize your goddamn preferences. If you don't want to fucking, just kill me. Just fucking kill me. I fucking hate this game. I hate this dungeon. I hate my life. I might be exaggerating. Okay. Can I get, like, a fairy or a potion or, like, I feel like this is just torturous. Anyway, yeah, it really bothers me, and this does happen on, like, the social justice left in particular. I'll see people be like, oh, you know, such and such is whatever, phobic or whatever, because they did X, Y, and Z, or they'll, like, just start rumors about people who, like, aren't actually bigoted, they just have a sort of rough and tumble way of conducting themselves. That's not bigotry. If you just don't like someone because they're obnoxious, that's fine, but don't fucking try to label them a bad person just because you find them abrasive. That's fucking wrong. Holy shit. It really, really bothers me when I see people do that, and I see people do that on, like, the far left especially all the fucking time. Like, you're just some saint that can only hang out with people who are perfectly well behaved and don't say horrible curse words like lame. Like, fuck off. Are you for real with that? Like, it's okay, so yeah, I'll refer to that as the R word because I don't want to say it on my stream. This was a word that I grew up saying with my little brother all the time. Even when, like, this is even when my fucking mom had a job, like, as a teacher for mentally handicapped adults. This was still a word that was used commonly within my household by my mom and my brother and me. And I do agree that it contributes to a larger societal oppression and dehumanization of people with cognitive impairments. That's a good way of putting that. I agree with that. That's why I stopped saying it, and why I don't anymore. Unless I've just had a conversation with my brother, in which case it might slip out. But generally speaking, no. And also, generally speaking, like, I have actually never used that word to describe someone who was actually mentally disabled, which is kind of interesting. That would be especially shitty to me, but regardless, it's not something, like, that's the thing about, like, that is not removed from its original meaning. It still means what it meant, whereas what I'm saying about lame is that it has become totally fucking detached from its original definition to the point where it just, like, doesn't mean that anymore, and you just can't get fucking mad about people saying it about whatever, because it doesn't mean that anymore. I don't know how better to put that. I'm deliriously tired, as I may have mentioned a couple of times. Yeah, lame is not the same as the R word. Those are not the same. And the notion that they are is bonkers to me. And apparently bonkers is ableist too, so I can't say that anymore. Y'all can eat my entire cunt. I am not fitting into your stupid fucking box. That's what I told this chick too, fucking dragging all these fucking assholes into my mentions. It's like, hey, like, I'm fucking, like, autistic, I have PTSD, I have an attention deficit, I'm periodically really depressed, I have anxiety issues. Like, please, tell me more, lecture me more about how I need to fit into your fucking absurd box so as not to be labeled fucking ableist by you. Like, what are you fucking doing with your fucking life? For real. Jesus Christ. I never do that either. Like, I so seldom argue with people on, like, the far left that I had to, like, consciously change my argument strategy to like, be something that would be more effective for them. Like, okay, I'm gonna shame you. I'm gonna play a victim and you're gonna feel like shit. Because this is how you work. I never do that. I never do that in conversations. Like, here's all my health problems. You should feel bad. But I did it with her, and I could tell it made her feel like shit, and it made her look really terrible. So, like, you don't step to my fucking, with my 200 followers, with your fucking 50K assholes up in my shit, calling me racist? I can't believe somebody called me racist. I've never been called racist in my life, honestly. Not even once. Yeah, exactly, Alex. Like, lame is what you call soup that doesn't have enough seasoning. Like, it's not like, no, it's totally fucking removed. It's totally fucking removed. Yeah, man, like, people gotta stop moralizing their fucking preferences, dude. Like, if you don't like something, that's fine. But you don't get to fucking slap in like an ism or phobia label on a person just because they said a word that you don't like. No matter, like, it was reminding me of this, like, I saw this really goofy ass video a few months ago about how, well, really, the word marijuana is racist. And it's like, okay, if you jump through these few particular hoops, you can arrive at marijuana, the word is racist, but it's so fucking silly, and no one means it in a racial way, at least anymore, that's really fucking stupid to try and police people over, and I feel the same way about lame. Like, for real. Like, lame is not ableist. No one's using it that way. It's just like, it is literally looking for shit to be upset about. Like, fuck off. Just fucking talk. Holy shit. I'm getting very ranty. I'm sorry. It's because I'm hating this dungeon. I really am. Like, in my heart. Had I come here yet? Whoa, hey, alright. I don't remember having come over here. Where's the fucking map? I'm gonna focus for a few minutes. This has been very ranty. I'm hoping I've said at least a few useful or interesting things. I guess it's fine if I haven't, I don't know. I'm just getting through this right now. What was I talking about a bit ago? I don't think I had anything too much more to say about moral injury at the moment. Repairing it would appear to be a complex process depending on what happened. It overall seems to overlap with PTSD treatment in that you need to discuss the memories that are causing you this harm and leading you to ruminate, and put them back, this fucking room, and put them back in your head without so much emotional salience attached to them, which is something you can accomplish by... Sorry, I just became very angry because I don't know how to get out of this room. And I hate it. Great. Yeah, it's kind of hard to rebuild your ego after a substantial moral injury. Definitely. Especially if you don't even know that that's what's wrong and that's what you need to be doing. Like, that's a problem, too. I think it's also especially a problem if, like, you can be morally injured not just by, like, doing something bad in the name of the greater good. You can be morally injured by your own shitty conduct, which is another thing that I've not really seen discussed in this literature so much. Like, your own shitty conduct independent of how much you can justify it with utilitarian arguments. You know, if you were just, like, an asshole for a few years and you feel really bad about that, that can cause moral injury if you beat yourself up enough. And, like, depending on what you did, maybe it was worth beating yourself up a little bit, but ultimately, you gotta fix that shit, or you're not gonna be able to function very well, at least not at full capacity. So, yeah. You essentially, to fix this, have to figure out who you are after that. Like, you have to reconcile what you did with who you are as a person. You have to, like, reconcile your identity with a person who's, like, capable of doing what you did. And then, you know, be that person. Which is really scary to a lot of people. Like, to openly admit that you're the sort of person who's capable of shitty things, but I think everybody is, and it's probably healthy to just own that. Ideally before you do anything horrible, just so you're prepared for it. So I think under certain circumstances, everybody's capable of shitty things, and you gotta cut yourself some slack to an extent. What is up with this room? Wonder if people who have gone through religious sexual conversion therapy, that would probably cause some moral injury. I am assuming. That would be an especially complex case of it, I guess. Because the moral injury would actually be, like, imposed on you from the religion. Which is its own sort of mindfuck. I'm just losing all my arrows. The fuck? Did you see that? How do I kill these? Whatever. I don't need to. Oh, Christ. No! Fuck! Come on, man! I hate this dungeon. I really do. How long have I been streaming, dude? I might need a fucking break. I want to get to something resembling... God damn it. This is so obnoxious. I've been doing this for, like, an hour. Just, like, going back to the same spot, advancing a tiny little bit, and getting blasted back to the fucking beginning. Jesus fucking Christ, dude. I'm not fighting anything. I'm not fucking fighting anything. No, fuck all you. I'm not doing nothing. I'm running past all you assholes. We ain't doing no fighting. This fucking shit. I do have a bottle. I don't know what to put in it. Whatever. Just whatever. Who sells potions? I don't remember where to get those. I'm fixing to maybe go do that though, because I'm I'm getting a little irritated. I mean, it's mostly because I have 4 fucking hearts. Like, you don't really... It doesn't really go far for you. This fucking room. It's just, like, low-key making my blood boil. Like, just... Stop moving! Yeah, the repair part of the moral injury is kind of complicated. It would seem to be dependent on what caused it in the first place. Sometimes, if, you know, the particular situation that caused the moral injury involved a relationship with a person, or someone that, like, meaningfully harmed you, or someone that you meaningfully harmed, in many cases there might be, like, an apology, forgiveness dynamic that's necessary to patching that up. But not always, and additionally, people aren't obligated to forgive you for things, so, you know, you still have to find a way to fix yourself, even if the person that you wronged just doesn't forgive you for what you did. Which, depending on what you did and how you apologized, I could understand someone not forgiving somebody. Like, for example, fucking Joe Biden decided after 30 fucking years here, 2 seconds before he was about to announce his run for president, to go apologize to Anita Hill. He was responsible for holding those hearings. And apparently he didn't actually even say he was sorry. Like, it was a non-apology, kind of like for when he apologized for, you know, smelling women's hair or whatever he's been doing over the course of his political career. It was not a sorry. He didn't apologize. He said, you know, cultural norms have changed and so will I. And it's like, that's not admitting wrongdoing, Joe. Do you know the difference? You dumbass. So yeah, he's just bad at apologizing, and I don't blame Anita Hill one damn bit for not accepting that apology. She is under no obligation to do that. He had 30 fucking years. You gonna wait 30 fucking years, and then 2 weeks before you decide you want to run for fucking president, ring me up with some fucking half-assed non-apology? Yeah. I would have told him to kiss my ass too, so... Joe Biden is not steamrolling anybody. He's just... He does not have near the pull that he used to. He is not nearly up on the issues as much as he used to be. No. I don't think... I don't think he's gonna get very far. I'm hoping, and as I spoke to Urchak about, I guess we're both hoping, that he will ultimately serve to amplify candidates that are not him, but I feel like if he wanted to do that and not be in the race, he wouldn't have joined the race, so I'm a little concerned about that, but yeah, I don't want Joe Biden. I'm good. I'll vote for anyone that isn't Trump, in all honesty, but I would prefer it not be Joe Biden. His policy track record, frankly, sucks. Like, if you look at the legislation he was responsible for, that he backed, the motions he backed, the military maneuvers he backed, he is not, like, I would not bet on that horse. I'm good. This. I'm save scumming. Fuck off. Real talk, I forgot I could do that. I'd have been doing it an hour ago. I don't give a fuck. Like, how do I open this? Come on. Am I fucking stuck? Okay. The fuck? The fuck? Okay. I kind of wish it wasn't so obvious when I'm doing that, but I really don't care. I think it's mostly kind of funny. Alright, red guy. Shit. You are really obnoxious. Fuck you. Come on, cunt. Wakey, wakey. Is this a mistake? It's probably a mistake to, like... Here, I'll load it in a different slot. The bottles? What bottles? What were you talking about? No, no, no! No! Shit! I just saved over the save state that I... Okay, well, this is what we're doing now, so, I didn't realize it was throwing me into a boss fight. I had no reason to believe that that's what was happening, so. Cool. Alright, great. Awesome. Fun. Really, really cool. Oh, is that it? Oh, hell yeah. Get fucking shot, you goddamn chuckle fucks. I did that. I did that. That got did. I was so mad at myself for overriding that fucking save state. I was so fucking upset. The Pendant of Courage. Take it to Sahasrara. Will do. I mean, I guess the warp doesn't matter now, does it? Can I not save unless I'm quitting? That seems kind of dumb. Whatever, I'll just do a new save state just in case. I don't quite recall where Sahasrara is. Were they in the village? Oh, I'm close to the potion shop? I want to go there. Is it that over there? Or is it, like, the red building there? North, like, the red building? Okay. I need to get out of this area. I'm getting pissy. I need to, like, chill out. Maybe have a couple pieces of sushi. Hit the packs. Chill out. And come back. And do more. That'll be the plan. What is going on here? Okay, that's what I'm doing. Yeah, I see it up there, I have to go around, because I'm currently within walls. How come there aren't any fucking hearts in the bushes? Like, ever. Fucking... I've been here before. Oh, okay. Okay, cool, great. These motherfuckers are not cheap. So I just scoops it? There we go. Better than nothing, certainly. I'd prefer a fairy, I guess, but I'll take it. Hello, Oz. Thank you for the bits. Alex, was this a callback to my very first stream ever? Holy shit. Oh, that's right, I need a special item to get fairies. So the first game I ever streamed was a Zelda game, Minish Cap. And well, no, I streamed Link's Awakening. That's another Zelda game I've streamed. But yeah, when I first started streaming Minish Cap, I was irritated because I was only finding rupees when I needed hearts, and hearts when I needed rupees, and yeah, I framed it as, because you can only find money when you're looking for love, and you only have love when you're in need of money. Oh, fuck you. Oh, fuck you. Man. Oh, no. I mean, Link's Awakening is a Zelda game. It certainly doesn't feel like one as much as Minish Cap, but regardless, it counts. Let me get back to Sasrala. I don't remember where the village elder is. Are they on the map, maybe? Sure aren't. I don't remember where this person is. But are they in the village? I feel like I don't remember finding them there, but I might be full of shit. I don't trust me, personally, so... okay. Temple? No fucking hearts. Just none. That's the sanctuary, right? Fuck off! I think that's what that is. That's where they are? You sure? I feel like this is a different person. If you defeat the wizard, the soldiers may regain their sanity. Go, seek the pendants. Yeah, this is who I have to talk to, like, after I get all that shit. Did you mean to do all those typos? They're very funny typos. I can't imagine you did those all accidentally. Fucking looking at those words, laughing at them. That was the fortune teller. I might have to look over this fucking elder as. Wait, weren't you the person who told me where the elder was? I feel full of shit. No. I did not realize how old some of these Zelda songs were. Like, fully fleshed out and everything. I don't know where this person is. I'm looking this up. I'm flattered that they expected me to remember that. Game cannot deal with me looking things up. Oh, they're in the upper little bit there. Okay. Word. Ugh. My stomach's starting to feel funny, y'all. I think that's the house. Didn't you already... You told me about this. Yeah, I'm good. What? Okay. Okay, that's not helping. God. For fuck's sake. Okay, I don't know where that is, though. Okay. God damn it, that's where I was. Jesus fucking Christ. Okay. I should not be getting this irritated with Zelda. I think I need to eat. Zelda should spark joy. Only joy. Fuck off. Okay. I don't. What the fuck are you talking about? Why can't... I'm losing my mind. Losing it. Losing it. Losing it. Really losing it. You can't get over there, though. So it's not really how that map works, is it? I guess they're in the middle of, like, basically where I just was before. Fuck off. I don't like the way my stomach feels right now. I'm starting to get a little nauseous. And if that shit keeps up, I'm not going to be able to keep streaming. Let me see how I feel after a break. After I find this fucking cunt again. you've got the Pendant of Courage. Now I will tell you more of the legend. 3 or 4 generations ago, an order of knights protected the royalty of Hylia. These knights of Hyrule were also guardians of the Pendant of Courage. Unfortunately, most of them were destroyed in the Great War against evil that took place when the 7 wise men created their seal. Among the descendants of the Knights of Hyrule, a hero must appear. I see. Lady, I believe you. You should get the remaining pendants and carry this with you. It is a treasure passed down by the families of the wise men. I want you to have it. Oh, hell yeah. Now you can execute a devastating dash attack. A helpful item is hidden in the cave on the east side of Lake Hylia. Get it. Get it. Cool. So now do I just automatically, it's just, I don't have to equip the Pegasus boots, they're just, oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah, hell yeah. Hell yeah, hell yeah. Very nice. I'm gonna go savesies that real quick. Okay. Oof. I'm trying to figure out who Aaron and Dan are. Sorry. Oh, Game Grumps. I fucking I watched a little bit of their shit years ago and it just didn't grab me. I don't know. Are they still doing shit? Is it still good? Just not familiar. It was not my swag 5 years ago or they've been doing this that long, right? I'm not thinking of different people. Wait, no, that's... Ugh. Easily that long, okay. Yeah, I first checked out their shit years ago and it just didn't grab me. I might like it more now, I have no idea. I don't even really remember what they do. In all honesty. Ugh. It's not like I have a hell of a lot of time to watch shit like that these days. I do not like what my stomach's doing right now. Excuse me. Let me play y'all some music. Some rock and roll. You ready? Okay. Alright. I'm gonna try and settle my stomach down a little bit. Alright, y'all. I'll be back. There we go. Hi. I've returned. Alex, I don't know why your Twitch be fucking with you like that. I'm sorry. You are the only person who has complained about this problem, so I have to assume it is something on your end. That's weird. Is it some, default security setting or something like that? That's strange. This song, the song I just played, Heavy Cross, was used in a very popular, wanna say Dior commercial that had, Charlize Theron, walking down a hallway and, stripping off her, necklace and clothes. It was a really, visually striking and good commercial, and the song worked really well, and it was very memorable, so you might have heard it from there. That's where I first heard the song. It's 10 years old at this point. It came out in 2009. It's still, what do I say, it slaps like a belly flop. It's still really, really good. That commercial was really popular at the time, so it's likely you saw it. I love perfume ads. Because they're like maximally senseless. They're the least descriptive of the thing that they're actually selling you. Like 0% of perfume ads have ever described how the perfume smells. Like it's pretty much at all. It's always just like, here's some really supermodel-y looking supermodels doing very supermodel-y things in a dramatic manner. Don't you want to smell like them? Mm-hmm. I bet you do. Buy this. Like, or they have like a celebrity endorse it, like, you know, Charlize Theron, who's also gorgeous, so, you know. It was a good commercial. And actually that particular perfume, that J'adore Dior perfume, actually smells lovely. Would endorse. It's pricey, but, you know, I don't know. I'll pay money for perfume. You get what you pay for with that shit. I will put up money for designer perfume. Or more often I will request it from anybody seeking to get me a nice gift, because it's like one of the only ways in which I manifest expensive taste is in perfume. Yeah. Yeah, it's the high-end stuff. Like, maybe if you get in the, yeah, like, God, Axe chocolate body spray, please kill me. Holy shit. I would, God, The only thing that can make Axe body spray sound worse is in the context of a food. Christ. Just everything about that's wrong. Oh, you just want to smell them, you don't want to smell like them. Well, then I suppose the ad has failed. In that case. Tell you what, that Dior ad made me want to smell like Charlize Theron. Absolutely. Beth Ditto screaming her heart out. Those fucking guitars. That song is good. That song is really good. Oh, man. So, like, I'm not feeling so hot, y'all. I'm feeling a little nauseous, and I'm not entirely sure I want to keep Zelda-ing. I was also getting just, like, pissy with the game, I think probably because I just don't feel well. I'm really run down. It was probably not the best idea for me to try and stream today, but I don't know. I wanted to do it. I felt like it would, help me relax a little bit. And it did. I'm glad I did it. But, I don't know. I might just sit here and, eat sushi and bullshit with you guys for a few minutes if you want to stick around, but I'm done with Zelda, I think. Thank you, Alex. I'm sure I will. It's just, as I mentioned, I hadn't been eating enough over the last couple days, and that'll occasionally kind of fuck with me a little bit. I made tea today already, but it was like earlier today, and I also skipped it yesterday, so I should probably make more. I'll do that after I get off here. But yeah, I got sushi. It was my my reward for having turned in that really big assignment that I did today. I try to make it a special occasion sort of thing. It's a special food, I think. And it's not something I can make myself, so I have to buy it out. It's usually not, trivially priced. It's not crazy expensive, but it's not fast food either. So, you know, it's fresh, raw fish. You don't want to fucking cheap out on it either. At your own fucking peril, do you cheap out on sushi? Get those fucking gas station turkey sandwich worms. What the fuck, you were at Costco this weekend, and they had a meat safe. Oh, a meat sale, I'm sorry. It's like, I bet they do have a meat safe. They probably call it a cooler, but, you know, to each their own. That's not nearly as funny as I think it is. I'm sorry. You bought 5 pounds of pork belly for like $30. Jesus. Yeah? That's Costco. I used to do Instacart in there and just like, it would blow me away how much shit you could get for not that much money if you're just willing to get like fucking 30 pounds of it or whatever. After several false starts, I know how to make Szechuan red style pork belly tacos. Dog. Oh, it sounds good. Pass me a beer out of the meat safe. I guess I could just, I mean, like, a cooler that locks could be regarded as a meat safe, right? Now I'm thinking of other things that could be a meat safe, and this just, it went down a, not so savory path in my head very quickly, so I'm gonna stop. I had a thought about moral injury while I was on the break, but now I can't remember what it was. Oh, I had talked about how fixing a moral injury is relative to how it occurred, and like rebuilding yourself and your ego is like relative to what happened. Like I said, the most difficult part of this is like reconciling what happened or what you did or what you saw and how you behaved in those situations with who you are. And in many cases it kind of necessitates that you knock yourself down in your head a little bit, which I think is appropriate. I think most people have this kind of overinflated idea of how good they are, how good they would be in any given situation, you know, how truly upstanding they are in the face of adversity, how much of a hero they are, how much fucking agency they have. I think people, for the most part, hugely overestimate all of these things about themselves, and sometimes that doesn't get corrected until you get really seriously hurt. And, you know, it's unfortunate that that's what it takes for some people. I mean, I guess it took that for me. I mean, I never really thought of myself as a person that, like, could never do wrong things, but it surprised and, I guess it harmed me to find out that, like, I was not nearly the force for good that I would have imagined myself to be in that situation, you know. Even though I, like, in hindsight, I really was. I did everything I could. It's just, when you don't have a lot of power in a situation, that's another thing that can kind of fuck with you. So, yeah. I was talking about, like, forgiveness and apologies and shit earlier. Something I've said before, but I feel like is worth reiterating, is that when you're dealing with shit like this, it is perhaps most critical, especially to that, like, ego repair, that you forgive yourself for what you did. You may not think it is on, like, you even have the right to forgive yourself depending on what you did, but the fact is you do, and you have to. You're not gonna move on from whatever it is before you forgive yourself. I know that from having spoken to other people about it. I know it from experience. That is hugely fucking important to beginning this repair process, is you have to be, and that's part of reconciling these, you know, two people now, like this person who did this thing and the person you thought you were. The reconciliation between those two identities begins with you forgiving yourself for being that person you didn't think you could be. Hopefully that makes some kind of sense. I always thought I was funny because my mom would tell me I was. When I was 16, she laughed at something and she couldn't tell me what I had said, and to this day, I tell people about it because it really fucked me up. Wait, hold up. I was 16 when she laughed at something and she couldn't tell me what I had said. She was just laughing because she could tell it was supposed to be funny. What? It makes sense and it scares me because I'm not good at forgiveness in general. So, okay, you're saying that your mom fucked you up by convincing you that you were funnier than you are? I see. I mean, that fucked me up too. It's like a weird, like, benevolent gaslighting. That's really strange. Why would you do that to a person? I don't know. I don't laugh at people unless they're funny. I don't fake laugh at people's jokes. I tend to not flatter people. Like, if I'm giving you a compliment, it's because you earned it. Like, I don't really go around kissing ass or, overinflating people. I just said that I think generally people are way too far up their own ass. They think way too much of themselves and, and who am I to say any of that, right? Who do I think I am? Nobody, that's the point. Like, I'm standing here, down in the mud, telling all of you you belong here with me. Oh, okay. No, that's fucked up. That is fucked up. That I'm gonna go ahead and call that like some kind of fucking weird benevolent gaslighting. Your mom fucking convincing you were funny, but nobody at school thought you were. That's really, honestly, a very like weird form of like marginal abuse. I don't even know what to call that. That's so strange. I guess she just like did she just think that much of you that she wanted to like. I don't know. I don't have kids, and I've never really felt that way about another person. Like, I've never had that kind of parent-child relationship with a person. I'm not sure if I would do that with my kid. I don't know. Would I feel such about them that I would want to convince them they were funny to boost their self-esteem, even if it wasn't accurate? I would like to think I wouldn't do that. But I don't know. That's kind of sort of the crux of why you should forgive yourself for whatever, actually, because you didn't know how you were going to be in that situation, and now you do. Now you know better, so hopefully you can prevent whatever happened from happening in the future, unless of course it's like part of your job or something like that, which is like what the paper I was writing is about. If you have moral injury as, like, an occupational hazard for your fucking job, then, that's another issue, I suppose. But I think a lot of people, can, like, this can happen in isolated manners in, whatever job somebody's in. It can happen in people's personal lives. It can happen, in a lot of places. This was just kind of, as I mentioned, this literature is sort of coming out of being very focused on people who have been in combat and, like, veterans specifically. And I'm trying to paint a picture of this as a wider phenomenon and try to explain mechanistically how it could be causing the same problems in all of these people who are doing such drastically different things with their lives. Yeah, I would agree with that. That is beyond motherly bias. Sure, you can say you, quote, did it out of love, but it's like, I don't know, I suppose I have a different definition of love than some people. To me, love is, I am committed to making you the best person you can be insofar as I'm capable of helping you with that, and I want to support, and if necessary, critique you in order to make you better, and I expect people who say they love me to some extent do the same. I feel like that's, behaviorally at least what love is. You're there for somebody, you want to make them better, you want to help them self-actualize, you want to help them have a better life. That's what it means to me. And part of that would be not fucking convincing somebody they're funny or otherwise if that wasn't fucking true. I don't see the point in fucking, insincere flattery like that. Because, I feel like eventually you're gonna get caught in your own bullshit. Or someone else is gonna catch you in your bullshit. People at school didn't think you were funny. That was kind of catching your mom in her bullshit. I feel like if I tell somebody that they're good at something when they really aren't, someone's eventually going to tell them that they're not. And they might be upset at me for lying to them. So, I don't know. I mean, obviously that doesn't account for differences of opinion, but I don't know. I just try to be honest with people. as much as I'm capable. Yeah, I keep thinking about this. I'm gonna have to do a full fucking stream about moral injury and moral repair in the not too distant future. I'm supposed to, I was trying to do this fucking social dominance stream this week, but I do not foresee that happening. Maybe, not next week, maybe the week after that. Before quals, before my fucking qualifying exam starts here in about the middle of May, I will have done the fucking social dominance stream. Which will be a good one. And then eventually at some point I'll do a moral injury stream. They're both gonna be kind of, heavy, so in the interest of not, overwhelming my lovely audience with emotionally burdensome topics all in a row, I'll try and space them out a bit. So an extreme and research example is soldiers being ordered to kill people, but you're saying the same kind of injury can happen to, for example, someone whose job is to help insurance companies weasel out of rightful claims. That is exactly it. Let me read the definition again. I gave it earlier, but I don't think you were here. This is the definition that I am proposing in this paper that I'm writing, which is fairly similar to the existing definition. It's just slightly tweaked to be more inclusive of everyone that seems to be experiencing these symptoms in response to this thing. Anyway, so moral injury occurs when you bear witness to, are subjected to, or personally perform actions that do not align with who you perceive yourself to be as a moral agent, and that discrepancy causes a sort of ego damage that manifests in particular symptoms, which have been documented pretty well at this point. So, of course, anyone can, regularly even bear witness to morally questionable things, be subjected to morally questionable things, or do morally questionable things, and not be injured from that. But if that discrepancy, that, difference between, this person that endured this or performed this doesn't line up with who you perceive yourself to be as a moral actor in the world, if that discrepancy is such that it causes damage to your self-concept, I think that is what's causing the symptoms of moral injury. I think that's what's being injured, is your concept of self. And yeah, I think I can maybe demonstrate that with research. I can at least gesture in the direction of demonstrating that with research, so, which is good enough for philosophy. Yeah. I've certainly done a social dominance stream before, but I think it was, probably more related to the, micro stuff that I specifically study, whereas I'm hoping to talk about this in a more, broader behavioral, societal sense, rather than the small-scale stuff. I was playing Mass Effect, and talking about it in the context of Udina. He was that fucking, that cunty little motherfucker, right? Also, it has been a hot minute since I've played Mass Effect, so if that's the last time I dedicated a whole stream to social dominance, that's kind of sad. I study it for fuck's sake. Yeah, a little cunt. No, I remember him. I remember him. Yeah, I don't remember what I might have said in reference to him about social dominance, but I mean, at this point, I've read a lot more shit since then. I've probably changed my perspectives and thinking on it at least a little bit. Probably at least changed the language I was using. I don't know, but well, yeah, maybe by then. I don't know. I feel like I shift around my language on this topic like once a year at this point. Eventually I'll stop because I'll arrive at something good. I think I'm about there. I'm trying to use words that don't put people on the defensive, which with most topics you don't have to worry about this, but people get really weird sometimes when you talk about hierarchy or dominance, or these are like really salient terms for people. They stick out, usually in a negative way if you're on the left especially. So in order to speak to lay people in particular about this, I need to use words that aren't those in order to communicate this stuff. Now, how I talk about this, to other scientists, or when I'm like looking for it in the research, I have to use words like dominance and hierarchy because that's what the scientists call these things. But when I'm talking to people about this who don't study fucking animal behavior, who really aren't up on this shit at all, I'll say things like, social power or authority, or leadership. Those are all better words for the stuff that I'm generally describing. Did I just call you lay people? I guess. I don't know. The extent to which y'all can really be considered like full lay people as like semi-regular watchers of my stream is probably, limited. Like, you know enough about this shit to not be totally ignorant. You're like somewhere between a true lay person and an expert, I guess. But I think is good. Especially for something like this. Like, I think more people need a better baseline understanding of social power dynamics. For fuck's sake. Like, it is 2019 and humans are still falling for con men like Donald fucking Trump. Like, how can so many people not realize that he is completely full of shit? Completely full of shit. Like, wow. It's just kind of amazing to me, but I don't know. I had a good bullshit detector before I even started studying this shit, so Why do you think people are especially sensitive to discussions about social dominance as a topic? Well, people on the left especially, I find, are sensitive to this because they really don't like the notion of any sort of hierarchy in humans. Even just, which, to be perfectly fucking clear, I am by no means, in support of, like, hierarchies based on people's immutable characteristics, like, gender and race and sexuality and shit like that. That's obviously, both morally wrong and, incorrect in pretty much, every case. So, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, like, within cooperative groups, power dynamics and how much one person influences another, how much one person is able to tell another what to do, how that works. That's what I'm interested in, which is better described as like leadership or authority than dominance, because that's not, dominance implies a certain je ne sais quoi that is not captured by, the gentler things like influence and, like authority assignment and stuff like that. It's too extreme of a word, honestly. Like, people hear dominance and they're thinking about, like, fucking, like, BDSM or, like, people getting their asses kicked, or, like, it's an extreme word, and it's just not a great idea to use it when talking to, like, normal-ass people about this, even if that's what the scientific literature refers to these behaviors as. Yeah. Do you think it's scarier that so few people realize, or that he doesn't realize how full of shit he is? I'm not surprised that he doesn't realize it, because he believes his own bullshit because he's a narcissist. That's like the trademark. The trademark. It really, like, the fucking key thing that separates just somebody with an overblown ego from an actual fucking narcissist is, do you believe your own bullshit? If you believe your own bullshit, and you're getting everybody else on the believing your own bullshit train with you, like you're doing that like it's your goddamn job, you're a fucking narcissist. If you're able to openly acknowledge and accept when you have fucked up and you do not believe your own bullshit, then regardless of how big your ego might get, I would argue that's probably not pathological. Like, which is, you know, it's different. Narcissism is not just a big ego. That's not what it is. It's a big cancerous ego that has extended far beyond you into, you know, really fucking with other people in your life. And totally, like, fucking, like, degrading your own psyche to the point where, yeah, you believe your own bullshit, you pathologically lie. There is no reality. Reality is whatever supports your reputation. That's reality for someone like Donald Trump. He doesn't understand that the actual world might not make him look as good as he would like. Like, that's just, it's a mindfuck. It's like, it's really difficult to even imagine someone who's that, like, detached from reality and totally delusional. But if you've never spoken to real narcissists, that's what they're like. It's really unnerving. It's really difficult to talk to them because generally they're, like, just habitual liars. Like, they just lie like it's breathing. Like, they just lie, like, all the time. Like, it's nothing. And yeah, because they believe their own bullshit, it's like they don't even regard it as lying. It's just, you know, it's their reality and you're living in it. That's just kind of how it is. So yeah, it doesn't really scare me that he doesn't realize how full of shit he is. He is a narcissist, and I would expect him to not. But it does bother me a lot that more people don't realize he's full of shit. I don't know. Especially after having studied this for a few years, oh lord. Ooh, can I see through people? Just immediately. Like, fucking immediately. Do not try to pull your bullshit on me. I have got fucking Aspie X-ray goggles. You cannot fool me with that shit anymore. Oh my god. Ooh. Sorry, I'm still, like, my stomach is not happy with me. I don't think I had any more to, like, say specifically about anything. That was just a thought I wanted to complete that I had over the break. On the right, the purpose of civilization is to reveal and empower the superior. I don't know how true that is. I feel like that's a negative representation of conservatives generally. Like, do you really think that's the reason they think civilization exists? I would argue if you asked a conservative about that, they would say that civilization exists in order to, like, band together families and countrymen to be, you know, more formidable in the face of the adversities of life. That is probably, that's something I could hear a conservative saying when you ask them what the purpose of civilization is. I don't see anyone answering that question with to reveal and empower the superior. You know, I understand that the answer I gave is more flattering than is maybe completely true, but I think that yours is kind of fucked up. Okay, it's difficult for me as a fucking ethologist to argue with that logic. I don't disagree with judging people based on how they behave. It's just... Okay, Alex. I appreciate you staying up with me. I would like to see you soon. I will bother you about that soon. Good night. Maybe it's because I don't study this stuff, but the fact that a person can delude themselves to that point scares me because I wonder if that's in me too. That's okay. I can see what you mean. I can see what you mean. Yeah, I mean, that kind of goes into what I was talking about earlier with moral injury. When you're forced to reckon with the fact that you are capable of being delusional or shitty or otherwise weak or not the person you thought you are forced to reconcile that person that exists with who you think you are. And that can be really, really difficult. But I think it's overall good to have a concern like, man, could I ever get that bad? Now, it's a long road to get that bad, but, people can get there. And it should scare you. I mean, he's ruined. He's so fucked that he, can't have normal relationships with other people, and he's, generally speaking, a blight upon those he interacts with. So yeah, that is scary. That should scare anyone. And being that way and also being completely oblivious to what a fucking plague you are. I can hardly imagine anything more humiliating, but seems proud, doesn't he? Maybe 6 months ago or something, I think I remember a good discussion about the difference between conservatives and liberals' preferred versions of authority. That sounds like something I would have talked about. Generally speaking, people on the left prefer less dominant-seeming leaders, whereas people on the right like their leaders a little more dominant. Especially under particular circumstances. People tend to prefer more dominant leaders rather than prestigious leaders, which is a distinction I'll talk about when I do a whole stream on this. But they prefer more dominant leaders when they're in, threatening circumstances, circumstances that otherwise would breed authoritarian thinking in a population. That is when people prefer dominant leaders to prestigious leaders. Generally speaking, they prefer prestigious ones. Yeah. Conservatives seeing government authority as a masculine-ish authority figure whose job is to arbitrate and protect, and liberals seeing government as feminine and nurturing? I don't know if... That doesn't sound like a leap I would make. Personally. It doesn't sound completely outlandish, it just doesn't sound like something I would say on my stream. I don't disagree with it. But I don't know, I mean, kind of. Because, you'll hear conservatives more than anyone talk about, nanny state stuff. That's their term, They think all social programs are... I mean, maybe that comes from their thinking that the government shouldn't be nurturing. It should be this, hard-nosed dad figure that just regulates and does not take care of its population, which I think is kind of absurd, but... They think it somehow takes away from them? You mean to be helped? Or Sorry, I didn't realize you were a new person. Hi. I lived in Texas for about 6 months, and I've lived in the South all my life, so I'm culturally familiar. Um, yeah, no, it would seem that they do, conservatives think that accepting help from the government in particular makes them inferior. It's kind of interesting because these same people will often accept help from, like, their church, for example, or, the people around them, and they don't regard that as weak. Because I think it's more of a, if it's within tribe help, then they're cool with it, but they don't, like, conservatives don't consider the government part of their tribe, because, why would you really? It's, I could see you having, like, to some extent, some trust in it, but it's not going to be, your tribe, like, your extended family or your church is your tribe. So, yeah, that would seem they assign kind of like a valence to it, depending on where the help is coming from. Yeah, no, they fucking hate the concept of, like, handouts, which they have a pretty fast and loose definition of, insofar as I could tell. What'd you say, Goose? You shouldn't say that's how they see government authority. It was just the type of authority they prefer in a family setting was a good predictor of party affiliation. Oh, I remember this. No, this was some shit Urchak was on, I think. About how, like, different sort of parenting styles were predictive of political party affiliation. This was a while ago. I'm having trouble remembering, but that happened. That happened. Totally. What command did you just put in my chat? Are you trying to follow me? Appreciate you. It doesn't sound familiar. I'm only having, like, fucking vague ass memories of this. Vague ass memories. Oh, you're seeing if it would say how long you've followed. I don't know, man. I've been out here for a few years at this point. Oh, you're a longtime lurker. Okay, I'm sorry. I don't look at who lurks, so if I ain't seen you in chat, you're news to me. Welcome to the chat. I'm A-okay with lurkers. You can lurk all you like, but, don't expect me to know your name. That's fair, I think. I do a good bit of lurking on the streams that I watch. It's pretty seldom that I'll chime in. On most days. Sometimes I feel chatty, and I don't want to fucking bother people, but... I mean, inconsistent lurking is consistent with my inconsistent streaming, so... I'm firmly a hobbyist. Yeah, I don't like the way my stomach feels, you guys. I think I might, take a bath. Try to reduce my nausea a little bit. Yeah, it's fine. I will be okay. It's temporary. Yeah, I just ran myself down working on this assignment. I probably should have just rested and slept tonight rather than streaming, but I felt like I needed to talk. So... Alright. Alright, y'all. Yeah, we'll do another stream soon. I'll get another couple in here before I start my qualifying exam, which might have me gone for, like, a few weeks here. Depending on how rough the papers are. I don't know. We'll see. I'm trying not to stress out about it too much right now. Because it's scary. So, alright. I appreciate y'all coming by. I hope to see you again in the future. Let me get you a song to play here. Let's do some Billie Eilish. This is actually not from the album she just put out, generally speaking, when I'm talking to y'all about research on this stream, I'm not talking about a study. I'm talking about, like, bodies of work that represent particular findings. Like, I don't like to pin too much of anything on one particular study, no matter how good it is. Because, yeah, you know, if shit doesn't replicate, if shit does not get corroborated by similar studies, it's not something I want to go spreading around like it's true. That's not responsible, man. That's not responsible of a person as a science communicator or as a person generally. Like, I get the idea that I take like reporting science to people more seriously than other people. It would seem. And you know, I think that's probably fine and maybe an indication that I'm doing the right thing with my life, but yeah, I'm just saying that so y'all know that if I ever tell you, oh, this is a thing, I'm not talking about a study. And if I am, I'll say that. But generally speaking, no, I'm talking about things that have been demonstrated repeatedly and in a, you know, variety of ways. That's true. There have been a lot of people who have made careers on YouTube through various different ways. Yeah, including people I'm trying to emulate, so I should not feel too insecure about what I'm doing, I suppose. I do need to start making more videos, though. I just need to, like, it's okay if they suck a little bit. They're not gonna suck that bad, and I just kind of need to get them done. Like, at this point, it needs to get did. Like, I'm gonna try and crank this fucking amygdala video out real fast, like. We're gonna see how quick I can do it. Oh, excuse me. So, I wanted to talk a little bit more about, moral injury. Go, get out of here. Get out of here. So, let me do that a little bit. So, in finishing up this paper, I determined that I really didn't have the evidence necessary to go about suggesting definitional changes to this thing known as moral injury. So instead, I ended up spending the paper kind of elaborating on this psychological mechanism that I think would explain this. So, I don't know, let me just look at this for a second. Talk amongst yourselves. I mean, had any of y'all heard of this prior to me talking about it last stream? I think Alex had, because it's, like I said, it's a problem that I encountered myself, so I had talked to him about it at least a little bit. Urchak, had you heard of moral injury prior to hearing me yammer on about it? It's starting to get a lot of media attention, but it's still not, like, you know, common knowledge like PTSD is, for example. Not under that name. What did you maybe heard it referred to as? Or if you'd heard of any, like, similar phenomena. Phenomena. Do 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 do. Phenomena. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Ahem. Survivor's guilt, yeah, that's something that can produce moral injury. Guilt is a very prominent feature of moral injury, usually. It's not always rational. And as I talk about in this paper, I think that we're neglecting, to some extent, moral injury that's based on shame. I think that needs to be looked into a little bit more, and the literature supports that. So I spent an okay bit of time talking about sex work as a means of like elaborating on that a little bit. In the paper I tried to go over all the like known and potential examples of moral injury to sort of lay out the like complete experiential spectrum of shit that could cause this, before going on to propose an underlying mechanism for it. I use the word mechanism here kind of loosely, I guess. It is technically a mechanism, but it's so like woo and difficult to actually measure that I feel funny calling it that, but that is technically what it is. Well, the thing is, currently, when we talk about moral injury and moral repair of moral injuries, we use language like, it's like metaphorical, like spiritual language, like soul repair and shit like that. Like, that's currently where we're at in describing how people fix moral injury. So I figure if someone's gonna stand out here and sound a little bit too much like Carl Jung for 2 seconds, I'll be that bitch. That's fine. I'll do that. So, anyway, the paper, let me give the definition of moral injury that I decided not to go fucksing with here before I go elaborating on the mechanism. So, moral injury occurs when an individual perpetrates, fails to prevent, or bears witness to acts that transgress deeply held moral beliefs and expectations, leading to effects that are deleterious in nature in the long term, emotionally, psychologically, behaviorally, spiritually, and socially. So, that's what moral injury is. It's got a lot of symptomatic overlap with PTSD, which is like a related disorder that it's not the same thing. Sometimes they co-occur because, sometimes the thing that caused the moral injury is in itself traumatic and causes the tongue, please cooperate with me, causes its own problems. However, unlike PTSD, moral injury has not even come close to being mechanistically explained, whereas we have a pretty decent understanding of how PTSD works down to a neural level. So that's a huge difference between these two phenomena, and I mean, it only makes sense because moral injury is much more recently discovered. Like, this paper that I just quoted this definition from is the first review that was ever published on moral injury, and it was only put out 10 years ago. So this is a pretty new thing, whereas we've been talking about PTSD for a few decades at this point. Additionally, PTSD is a little bit easier to get at because it's a problem within one's memory for the most part. It can be accurately described as a disorder of memory, and I explain that in the paper, and I explain how, like, if PTSD, if that's damaging your memory, and fixing one's memory is predominantly how one treats PTSD, then what is the equivalent of that for moral injury? This related problem that people have. Like, what is getting injured in moral injury? So that was what the paper ended up turning into, was this kind of explanation of what's getting hurt. And my hypothesis for that is I think that people are, their like self-concept is getting damaged. Their identity is getting damaged. Because when you fuck with who you think you are as a moral person, that's really like core to your identity, and there's a lot of psychological and even some neuroscience research that suggests that's true. So the mechanism I proposed in the paper was that I'm basically arguing that when people, I should say the research demonstrates that when people repair moral injury, what they're doing to do that is kind of a narrative processing of the experience that led to the damage, because it's not the experience itself that is damaging like it is in like post-traumatic stress disorder, for example. It's how you put that experience into your life narrative that then becomes damaging. And what the person has to do to get over the moral injury is to reframe those events and emotions in a manner that permits the acceptance and self-forgiveness necessary for recovery. That's what the research indicates at the moment. Wasn't I supposed to give y'all a... Yeah, I was supposed to give y'all a desert... Here. There you go. So that is the, where I was working from in terms of what's already known about it. And in the paper, I proposed that process of reframing things constitutes a reconciliation between conflicting ideas of self-concept that one has in one's head. Namely, between your existing idea of yourself and the self that experienced the events that led to the moral injury. Either the bad thing you did, or the bad thing that happened to you, or the bad thing that you saw. So that person that experienced those things somehow conflicting with your idea of who you are as a moral person. And, I argue that the quote-unquote injury that's occurring in moral injury is a product of the dissonance that's generated by that misalignment between your idea of yourself as a moral agent and the realities presented by those injurious experiences that fucked you up for some reason. That would be pretty difficult to definitively demonstrate. And I reckon that the best way to go about seeing if this has any merit is with clinical testing. So basically you have two populations of people, one of whom are being treated in like using traditional methods, and another one that's being treated with those methods in addition to this like narrative psychology method of trying to reconcile these two ideas of self-concept. And if there was indeed any merit to it, then the people who are getting that extra bit of narrative psychology are going to be recovering faster. So you'd see like different outcomes related to symptom reduction and recovery time and stuff like that. So, looking through this here. Am I making sense? Like, am I coming across here? I really never know. So... Yeah, I'm just going to read this here paragraph verbatim because it's kind of good. And also part of the reason I eventually determined that I don't need to be fucking with this definition. That's way swerving out of my lane. Like, I was getting ahead of myself. One of my most treasured and well-worn pastimes. You're getting pretty tired here, but generally, yeah, it's late. It's late. I'm not gonna keep going on for too much longer. I just wanted to talk about this a little bit more. Okay, I'm just gonna read this bit. Because moral injury has only been studied in detail for a few years outside of combat veterans, that's where the work was originally, that's where this phenomenon was originally characterized and studied, was in combat veterans, and we, for the most part, still only have research about them, but we're starting to get into other areas with it. Anyway, it is possible and perhaps even likely that we have yet to discover a great many of the circumstances in which it occurs. To preserve the integrity of the concept as it is applied in more situations, I believe it will become increasingly important to use moral injury's documented symptomology, described at length in a particular paper here, as a guide to identification and diagnosis moving forward. Bearing the boundaries of that definition in mind, one can still imagine potentially morally injurious situations that are unlike anything currently being directly addressed by researchers. For example, reformed criminals or former members of hate groups might incur moral injury in coming to grips with their pasts once they realize the extent of their wrongdoing. And then the example that I go into after that is sex work, which hadn't been addressed by anybody with regard to this especially. So, yeah, and I talk about Lindsay Byron's stuff and just generally how shitty it is to be a sex worker. Yeah. You get it, but we've talked through it at least twice, and it definitely fits within my own preferred understanding of consciousness and sensation of self. Well, I mean, that's good, though. Like, if it's, I feel like this is something that if it's intuitively ringing true for people, that's a really good sign, because it's not something that, I can otherwise really demonstrate very thoroughly. It's very, like I said, it's very kind of Jung and not very sciencey and kind of, I don't know, it seems right to me. Worked for me, man. It did. Maybe, let me do an example. Let's do an example. Okay, so I give several examples in the paper because it's really fucking abstract. Starting with a hypothetical example from social work, which is one of the places that's been found that people are experiencing moral injury. Someone investigating a potential child abuse situation in which they were unable to find sufficient evidence would likely feel great regret and guilt if sometime later that same case resulted in more demonstrable harm to the children, like serious injury or death. If the social worker is not already completely at peace with and realistic about their own limitations in the context of their environment, they would almost certainly ruminate about what more they could have done and how otherwise they had faltered as a moral agent, possibly to the point of manifesting symptoms of moral injury. I'm proposing that if they perceive themselves to be a person that somehow should have prevented this, then the dissonance generated between that perception and reality has the potential to cause moral injury by damaging one's self-concept. Because you can't be the person who should have prevented something and the person who didn't at the same time. Okay? So it is necessary to become the person who tried to prevent something but was unable to for some reason, and then otherwise derive some kind of therapeutic narrative that enables self-forgiveness and acceptance and rebuilding of one's self-concept in light of everything that you know now about yourself. Yeah. That's just kind of it, is like, through the morally injurious situation, you learned something about yourself. And it might have been something horrible that you maybe would have preferred to not know about yourself, but regardless, now you know. You can't unknow it. So you need to incorporate that into your self-concept and who you know yourself to be. That doesn't necessarily mean that you have to, now regard what you did as good or anything like that. It's just acknowledging that at least at some point you were the person who was capable of doing X, and that's what happened. or the person that was capable of experiencing that or seeing that and not doing anything about it or something like that. And that's the idea, basically, is you have to, this morally injurious situation that you endured somehow damaged your idea of who you are as a moral person, and as a result of that, you have to now deal with that. You have to incorporate that new knowledge that arrived as a result of this, situation that caused moral injury. You have to incorporate that into your idea of you. And I think that's what fixes people. A lot of that might just be, in the case of, victims of sexual assault, for example, there was a paper I read about rape in Darfur, and the lady was talking to like rape survivors over there about their experiences, and they're very, like, a lot of what causes the moral injury in those situations is the shame that people experience as a result of like social stigma and victim blaming, and the notion that, like, you somehow caused your own assault, or that it somehow diminished you in a spiritual sense, or, you know, a worthiness sense. And in that case, the reconciliation between those two quote-unquote identities is not so much reconciling this, you know, person who went through the experience with you in terms of, like, viewing that through the social stigma and the shame and all of that shit, but rather eliminating that internalized stigma and shame in order to arrive at a stronger self-concept. And, you know, reconciling what happened with this, you know, healthy identity as a complete and worthy person who did not invite their own assault and was not spiritually diminished by it. That, you know, that's very difficult for people. But regardless, I think that's what has to happen. You have to, you know, it's reconciling what happened with, you know, who you thought you were beforehand, I guess. That's maybe the crux of it. Yeah. I think that's maybe all I wanted to say about it for the moment. And I guess this is kind of some weird soapboxing for a fucking neuroethologist, but I really think that psychology kind of lost its way in an important way when it started neglecting the importance of narrative to the human psyche in favor of studying things that are more, quantitative, and can be more aptly experimented on. I think we need to get back to that a little bit, and I don't know if psychology is going to do that, because it has this fucking chip on its shoulder about being a soft science, and we also are, you know, post-replication crisis at this point, so that's another thing that's got people, you know, all up on their quantitative bullshit, not wanting to sound too soft around the edges conceptually. So I don't know. I was telling my professor, like, I'm okay getting funny looks. I don't give a shit. I study brains. I'm fucking smart. You can't fucking tell me nothing. I'll fucking be that bitch. I will fucking be that bitch. I will be that bitch. So anyway, alright, I'm starting to ramble here. I think we're all getting kind of tired. I've been at it for a little while. So, alright. I feel like I'm probably not completely done talking about moral injury, but, you know, hopefully I've given you something useful. It's hard to know what'll be useful. Anyway. I'm certainly doing my best, I'll tell you that. Alright, y'all. I appreciate you coming by and hearing me out. Really, a lot. Thank you. Y'all are lovely. I'm gonna practice this a little more and then try to get a couple hours of sleep, I guess. Alright. I'm gonna play y'all a pretty instrumental song I heard recently whilst seeking out good writing music. Alright. Okay, good night, y'all.